Hey, I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm your host, Scott.
Come on in and grab a seat.
Because you're hanging with us at the Barbershop.
Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Wes.
What do you know? We're back again. One more time.
Yeah. Door's open, so we keep coming in, right?
Yeah, the door is open because this is work.
Yes.
It's technically locked.
It is.
Yes,
once
it
we're
is.
here.
It is.
Go
Right.
in public.
Locked to the public, but hey, we got 3/3 of the Sawcast Productions ownership in the room tonight. We're joined tonight with Andy.
Hello.
So, it's one of those things that we talked about early on that we didn't want to politicize the show, and there was some things we kind of talked about maybe we shouldn't talk about, but I think it's been long enough now, and there's enough comedy and frustration, and there are enough stories out there that we thought, hey, tonight would be a good night to have a little discussion around COVID-19.
Right? It's not going anywhere.
No,
And,
no, it's not.
It continues to be an interesting topic and I think it's digesting the orders and how they're pitching it. And every time they pitch it, they kind of pitch it a different way. Right? Stay at home, close your businesses.
Yeah.
But then if you read or listen to it again and again and again, I think everyone can certainly put their own spin on it.
Yeah, because this is work. You're absolutely right, though. And I think when it comes down to this whole interpretation of these orders, first of all, we should just remind everybody that we're in Ontario, Canada. So wherever you are, maybe the rules are a little bit different. But anything that we're talking about tonight is based on Ontario, Canada. So we use a multi-tier system that's color-coded, and I think it's broken down into 5 colors. The green, the yellow, the orange, the red, and the gray. And I think most of the Canadian provinces are using a 5-tier system as well. They may not use the color coding that we use, but yeah. So currently the entire province is in a state of gray, just like the day outside today. It's a gray day, kind of wet and rainy here, but yeah, not as wet and rainy as my soul right now.
Does it bring you down every time we go back?
The last time that this happened, when we got when we got really locked down, not to confuse the lockdown with the mandatory stay at home order, because they were 2 separate things. But so I was more than content to shutter the business. By business, I mean my small retail business. I was fine to do that. And then we actually made a big message about it. We weren't going to record because we couldn't do it safely. And in my mind, it was this time around, it was wait a minute, why am I doing this? I'm I don't want to give up. I didn't want to give up doing the show because it's a big therapeutic part of my life, right? It keeps me...
And it's momentum. And
yeah.
Not to say that, there's certain people waiting to hear the next episode of Hangin at the Barbershop.
All 3 of you.
You know what? I've had, just this week, I've had 2 separate people comment on back episodes. So, right?
Oh, that's good then.
Pat from Axe Throwing was listening
awesome.
to the Driving with the Girls.
Oh, good.
And then certainly injected that he had good stories about driving fast and being stopped by the police.
I think, as a side note, anything that we talk about, if it provokes a memory or, that kind of reaction from anybody who might be listening, then I think, it's mission accomplished.
I think so, right? That's as I say, right? A giggle or a laugh or an aha moment. I think that's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. Yeah. But to go back to what you were saying about, does it really make me feel? On some level it does. I mean, my retail business was never a cash cow to begin with. So like I said, I didn't really have much of an issue with altering how I do business that way, which I've been able to maintain, and I'm doing fine. I'm not in any danger of, folding up, and the doors are not going to get shuttered forever unless the government says so. But I took the podcast from the perspective of this was our hobby. And then, I had to remind myself that no, in fact, this isn't just a hobby. It is part of there's a plan. And I mean, for those of you who know what the plan is, you know what it is. And if you don't, keep watching our social spaces, because you're going to see more of that. But that being said, what we do with the podcast, it is work. We have a recording schedule, we have a publishing schedule, and we are the three of us are employees. So this is work. So I guess when it comes to that interpretation, it's how much of this work could be done remotely. And that's sort of there's another kind of gray interpretive.
Right.
It's a fun job, but it's still a job.
It is a job. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I am not giving this up this time around because I need it in my life to keep me motivated.
So as we stand now, this will be the third lockdown.
Yeah, since March of 2020.
Yeah, it's funny too. I was just looking at sales from last year to this year, and if stores are open and taking the right precautions, and again, this information is sort of from a Peterborough perspective.
Yeah, sure.
That Peterborough certainly wants to be out and shopping in public, and spending money. And I mean, year over year, like obviously when we were shut down the first time, you're comparing your sales to zeros.
Yeah.
Because again, we really struggled with figuring out how our business model was going to work as a bigger business even. And this time, you were using 2019 as our year over sales.
Yeah.
And 2019 was a good year. And I mean, prospectively, you look at the numbers that we're garnering, they're good numbers. And, we're making money and we're shrinking that, that loss. Every couple of weeks, it's going down by, 2-4%.
Right.
So, I mean, in-person shopping, when the government is allowing people to do it, is good for business.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, how many times have we been sitting here in the studio and we've had to of course, you guys at home will never know that because we just edit it out. But there's been a few times where we've had like a little ding, ding, ding at the door. Can I come in and shop? Oh, okay, just hang on a second.
But and I mean, I think that as we're saying that it's coming down because people haven't been able to do it. I think, right? Anytime you tell somebody no, the urge to do that thing intensifies. So, if you have a parent that is very, stringent on the no smoking or no drinking in my house, well, you find a way to do it, right?
Yeah. As somebody who's been a kid and who's been a parent and who's been a smoker, and I've seen it from both sides. Yeah. So like you say, this is the third time that we've gone through some variation of shutdown, and man, the first time around, I mean, panic buying. Did you see that you're in clothing, right? Did you see some of that?
We closed fairly fast.
Yeah.
So, and did not reopen to the public for quite some time.
Yeah.
This time around, so the order came out Thursday, Wednesday.
This current one?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
It came out Wednesday.
It was Wednesday, yeah.
And there was not a 24-hour buffer to it. And then Thursday things changed.
Yeah, it was
the change from about 3:00 Wednesday afternoon till we were up until 9, and it it intensified. We did way more money than we would have, and the amount of returns ramped up because I think people
anticipating I'm not going to be able to do this.
No, and put cash back in hand. Right, there's no way I want to hang on to these boots that I don't want.
Yeah.
So as soon as like I said, as soon as you tell somebody they can't return it, they want to return it.
Do you think companies have become more lenient, though, with their return policies when the government gets involved and says, you non-essential business cannot be open?
We've added our time. So, we have a generous return policy.
Sure.
Unworn, unwashed, tags attached, all that.
Yeah.
I can resell it. You get 100 days.
That's without any...
Right. So all we've been doing
Yeah.
is adding whatever the shutdown time is.
Yeah.
So if you come in and you're 120 days...
And we've been shut down for
28.
20. Yeah.
It only makes sense to return that item.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I that's the one thing I've often wondered is, like, are other businesses kind of working on a sliding scale like that? And
I think it's good business to do it, but it's funny. Yeah. There's still people that don't think that's fair enough.
I know.
And it's like, right. Or part of the return policy that has nothing to do with COVID. And they're like,
Sure.
well, I don't like that policy. And I'm like, well, guess what? That's the policy.
Yeah.
You're returning your item with a gift receipt, no original receipt.
Oh,
You're getting
yeah,
it back
yeah.
on a merchandise credit. And she's like, well, I don't shop here enough to want it back on
To
a
want it as a
merchandise
credit.
And you're like, well, I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you what's going to happen today, or you can keep it.
Well, that kind of brings me to a story from today that came out. Now, we joked about this whole, like, as people who've listened to our show before kind of already have an inkling that we'd like to travel, and that's one of those things that's kind of been affected by our by the current state of the pandemic. So, you know, trying to get creative with other, what can we do to fill that, you know, I need a vacation void. And last year we talked about, why don't we get together and rent a houseboat? Well, lo and behold, if today one of our 2 local houseboat companies has just announced their closure, effective immediately. But I couldn't help but notice when, I don't know if you guys saw this in one of the local community groups. Did you see that somebody had said, I have a gift certificate. Are you going to compensate me?
You know what? I there was an article later,
Yeah.
and it talked about anybody that had a deposit
Sure.
or a booking was called
Yeah.
and canceled and refunded.
I did see that message
So-
that they were going to get a refund.
But I mean, when Video Image closed in Fenland Falls,
Oh, yeah.
and my dad was we used to give him gift books. Of,
oh, yeah.
Right?
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Because
sure.
Ray was hard to shop for, and that was something
Yeah.
he liked to do, was go and rent movies before the day of streaming.
Yeah.
And he went in when the new people had bought it, and they were not
They were not going to honor the previous
old ones.
Yeah.
No, which usually you buy there. That's usually within a business's.
You buy all that Goodwill stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, which my right dad didn't care. I don't think he rented movies there anymore. But
No.
and I mean that's your choice.
I find it interesting though, like, because I'm the type of person that I see a comment like that, and my first thing is, you know, is there anything to what this person is saying or what they're asking for? And I don't know. I tried to look up what the laws were on what happens to gift certificates, like you say, when somebody goes out of business or when a business changes hands, and I couldn't find everything I was looking for, but I did find out that if a business is closing because of a bankruptcy or an insolvency, there's almost nothing that you can do to get anything back.
Yeah. Ideally now, I think maybe it's 7 years ago that gift cards, physical gift cards do not expire.
They don't expire anymore
In the province of Ontario.
Interesting.
Now, your prepaid Visas and MasterCards have service fees and things like that where they start to tick down. And I believe when you buy a multi-store gift card, like something from like Lansdowne Place where you buy a right?
And it's good for any store in the mall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have right in their fine print that, you know, after a certain amount of time, they're charging you a $2 a month service fee.
That comes off the top of the card.
You betcha. So you can go there one day and have a very empty gift card.
Your $50 gift card is worth $4.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a cost to that convenience and of the maintaining that gift card system.
Well, my first thought, and I kind of worded this, you know, as I was responding to this person who had asked the question, I thought, well, what if it's like, we'll use us, for example. If I bought you the gift certificate, do you get any compensation? Because you didn't pay for that gift certificate. Is there anything to compensate you for? Should I not be compensated because I'm the one who bought it?
The spender of the money, right?
Yeah. I guess presumably maybe that's why they always ask you, do you want a gift receipt with that?
Right.
For return purposes. But I mean, you know, if I'm generally not the type of person that will buy something that is with the intention of that the person I'm giving it to is going to return it.
Right.
Because I think that just doesn't show very good, insight as to who you're buying for when you do that. But then again, if it's something you just don't know what to buy.
Yeah. Sometimes though too, and they were always very generous. They donated a lot of gift cards and stuff out to not-for-profits. Mm-hmm. And then you do an auction and somebody would bid, $800 for a $1,200 gift certificate. So, I mean, right, you paid for it, but you did it as a donation.
Yeah.
And now you're not going to be able to necessarily use it. But,
it's a conundrum no matter how you look at it. I mean, certainly that And I mean that the person who asked the question took some heat over asking that question from other commenters because, Facebook and pack mentality and all that stuff. But
it's a valid question.
She has a point. She has a very valid question. It's no different than, and this is another thing to tie the two together, Transat. So Transat, third largest airline in Canada, was potentially going to be purchased by Air Canada. And there was a bit of it's kind of up in the air because they were waiting to see if the European Union was going to sign off on antitrust concerns. Well, the deadline came and went, and Air Canada has backed out. So now Transat is looking for a government bailout. And I think the last article I read said something to the tune of $500 million.
Because you've got money tied up there.
$3,000.
Right.
So, I mean...
And if they close...
I'm out $3,000.
Yep.
But it's not like a gift certificate to, Lansdowne Place for $50. I mean, I would ask, is this worth pursuing? $50, maybe not, but $3,000? That's a hit in the pants that I don't need.
No, right?
Yeah.
And Transat really doesn't do anything other because you went in
We
and
asked.
They don't really have any like non-vacation flying.
I mean, they don't do package. Nobody's really selling Canadian vacation packages inside of Canada. I could get a flight within Canada to the airports that they service, but that was about it. And then the other thing that our agent told us was she might be able to get us a car rental. And that was it.
That's a lot of car rentals.
Well, anyway, because of this, again, not just Ontario, but any of the places that we would have went to because of their spike in COVID, we decided not to do that. So there is currently $3,000 sitting in a travel credit somewhere.
Yeah.
That may or may not get used at some time.
Well, it makes a
again.
choice of as soon as it's available or they get their bailout, as soon as you can travel. Like everyone's going to travel because who wants to attempt that, or are people going to start? And I think too when we get to a new normal, and I think that you haven't even thought of that, right? Are you ever going to prepay for a vacation again?
For me, I probably will because it's the only way I'm going to be able to take it is to book it and then pay it off over that prescribed period that they let you pay it off.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, very rarely am I ever in a position, unless, 649 or the Lotto Max comes through, in which case we's all going wherever the hell we want.
Right. When the numbers hit.
That's right. We'll be podcasting from Jamaica, man.
So from that perspective, then you'd remain the same way of doing it.
Pretty much. I don't because my income to debt ratio requires me to.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much.
Interesting. The other thing did you read the rest of that article for the actual reason that they probably closed?
I did. And so my first thought was, well, your competitor down the road has insurance. Did you call them and see who they're using?
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you probably had the next, you might have the biggest fleet or one of the most recognized brands. Yeah. But I mean, just down the road is another guy that's hustling and still building boats and still putting boats in the water this year.
Yeah. So just to hit that one on the nose, the actual reason for the closure was that the company has claimed that they can no longer get insurance on their fleet. Weird.
And I mean, there's got to be I don't know how many I can think of 4 locally.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's got to be something. But I get, you know what? How close were you to shuttering the doors anyway?
So they say they were 43 years in operation.
Yeah. 2 generations, and I mean, right? And who knows, right? And maybe none of the boys showed any interest. I think they have 3 boys, and maybe none of them show any interest in being captains.
Well, I mean, especially with the state of the world right now, would you be so keen on taking on that kind of risk?
Probably not.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. So.
No
we certainly wish them well, whether it's a restructure or a straight up closure. But another kick in the pants from COVID.
Wow, biggest kick in the pants. No more Lindsay Axe Club, bud.
Oh, you know what? You had to remind me.
You're
I
welcome.
thought I was going to get out of that. I thought I was going to get through an episode without having to talk about Axe.
Well, we talk about it a lot. It
I
means a lot.
know.
I feel like it means a lot to you and me, but
it means enough that it comes up that much.
And they unfortunately have decided from a cost inhibited that they folded up. Their final day was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
and they're closed for business. So yeah, it's off to Peterborough if we want to check
If
Acus.
we want to continue, throwing sharp shit.
That's right. But it just shows, right, that, those are the businesses that truly are struggling, right? I mean, I think we could probably name a couple other popular businesses in the area that just have not been able to
get back to the way it was.
to pivot, right, to an online model or a delivery model.
Yep.
And I think, I think about you and what you've done, and you pretty much digitized and got every one of your SKUs onto your website.
It's an ongoing process, but yes, we're definitely well on the way.
I mean, you've used your downtime.
That's right.
To be here.
Yep.
So, I mean, right, it's not like you haven't been going to work.
I need to quantify that a little more. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. It's not like, okay, well, they told me to shutter my business and I've been watching my ass grow on my couch.
I wouldn't, you know what? I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a week or two of that.
But there was definitely, you were here late, nights upon
there
nights.
There were a few nights where
I see
we
when
were.
The lights are on.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, don't. I think everybody has that. Certainly the first lockdown, I probably, for me, I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then my bosses were very generous. And, the elder household will remain afloat.
Will survive. Yeah, that's good.
But, but this is the thing is I can't imagine the stressors of being a small town family business, or, an independent business owner like yourself.
Yeah.
And trying to make things work.
Now, Andy, you were your what do we call it? Your 9 to 5, your Monday to Friday. Your Monday to Friday did not really suffer from COVID, more so that it suffered from restructuring and the digital age. So, for those who don't know, Andy, you were a part of the Post Media Group.
No, I was part of the Metroland.
Oh, thank you. It was one of them. I knew it was one of them.
They were the enemy until they did some trading, and it turned out that they bought them. So,
what do you know? Yeah, so ended up losing your 9 to 5 because, hey, people apparently don't read newspapers anymore.
Well, that's what they say.
But your family, you've got a family-run business just up the road here from us.
Yep.
And I know I've come in and I've utilized your dad's services, and your mom has sold me some gear, so I kind of get that you guys are making the best of a bad situation. How are you guys doing up there?
They're doing all right. They're deemed essential, so.
Yeah, so small engine repair and I guess equipment, really.
Sales and service,
yeah.
right?
Sales and service of small engine equipment. And
because I think it's one of those crazy things. Did they see a spike? More people doing stuff themselves because they're stuck at home? Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, we need this shit fixed now that I'm actually going to use it.
Yep.
But hey, we bought a brand new snowblower this year.
It's sparkly.
Yeah, it's pretty bright. It's orange.
Is it
everything else that comes out of there.
Is it a Husky?
It is.
That's why it's orange. Yeah. But and I mean that's right. That's a good feeling. So I mean, that means what? 5 people get to still go to work because you're deemed essential?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
But that's less stress on 5 other families, right? So I mean,
oh my gosh,
right? That's how I look at it. I feel bad every time we cut hours, and I mean we're a little bit bigger business, right? We might touch 35 to 50 families.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're cutting hours. We'll still be open. We can give you some shifts.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's not going to be what you were getting, right? And I feel like it's a whole nother conversation of not that it's CERB anymore. I think it's
I don't know what the acronym is now.
Canadian Workers Benefit, so CWB this time around, and it's a little less money too, I think. But it seems like it's accessible from what I've talked to my staff, and that they can get it, and it seems to come auto deposited into your account fairly regularly as long as you're applying for it. You can still be making a little bit of money and still get it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting when it's all said and done if we have an entire generation of people that are screwing up their income tax. But
Kim, my wife, she works in the personal service world.
Hardest hit.
Yeah. So, and believe it or not, she's actually quite excited to have some time away.
She's been productive with it. And I think too, and this is, I mean, not to put words in Kim's mouth or assumptions, but I mean, from a guy looking on the outside, I think every time there's a closure and a reopening, she's put so much of herself into her policies and her procedures.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that the average person doesn't appreciate how much time that takes.
They don't.
And that that she's not making up the rules.
No, that's the biggest thing.
She's instituting a policy that's been given to her by the health unit and the government.
I wish she was here tonight that she could tell you more of these stories, but at the same time, I think if we asked her, she would get a little clammy and not want to, at the expense of embarrassing somebody. But I have no such compunction, so guess what? The last time, or I should say maybe the first time that we got shut down, this is funny too, and it's a very select few, right? I mean, the clientele, the age of the clientele, and maybe the sense of entitlement, which I think is pervasive with a lot of the issues surrounding COVID, at least from a consumer standpoint, is people just are tired of everything, and that's starting to bubble up to the top. But man, you've never seen a group more like, I want what I want, than these little old ladies that want to get their hair done. And I mean, I want it all, and I want it now. As we were watching what was going on around the country, and of course in the US and other countries, and then the economies were starting to spool up again, the phone would ring. I just saw on the news, you're allowed to work. And it'd be like, what news are you watching? Because that was British Columbia, or that was Alberta, or that was Washington State, not on. Well, I just saw it on the 6 o'clock news. Yeah. I'm sure you did.
And they wanted to apply to them. And as I said, right? Yeah. Everyone's taking the rules and spinning them how they want them.
Or they would say, now, because this is one thing that Kim does do, is she will do house calls. And she's perfectly content to come to your house and bring all of her equipment with her, and she is content to give you full service treatment in your home. You're going to pay for it, but she's more than happy to do that. Except she will not break the law. So all of the at-home stuff has now stopped. And so people are calling around, and I have answered the phone, which is funny because I don't usually answer the phone.
So calling around is in, like, now you're getting people like that aren't Kim's
new clients,
right?
Like,
testing the waters.
Yeah, we've never heard. So is this the hair salon? Yes, it is. So is she going to be open tomorrow? This was on the Thursday, right? And I'm like, there is no way that you're going to get in before the month of May. Oh, well, does she do side jobs? And I said to this unknown voice on the other end of the phone, I said, she will not break the law for your convenience. Oh, well, I'll just keep trying then. Oh, okay. And then we've never heard from them again. So.
Well, that kind of bodes into one of the topics that I pulled up today. Yeah, sure. Peterborough Barbershop was served a Section 22 order.
Oh my God!
To close on Friday after willfully defying the provincial shutdown order associated with COVID-19.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a gentleman down in East City at Who's Next Barbershop on 72 Hunter Street.
Yeah.
And he's staying open. He's at the point where he thinks that him closing and not being eligible for any grants
is a threat to his livelihood
and supporting his family. And he's like, I've never not supported my family. So, and he picked himself up a nice $3,000 fine, but he's also hooked up with the anti-maskers of Peterborough, and they're stirring their rhetoric. And
it's a tough place to be in if you're a small business owner. I think because I am financially stable, I don't feel it the same way that other small business owners do. Where, like, I know that I'm going to be able to pay my rent if I don't make a sale this month. And I've tried to explain that to Kim, where it's like, my opinions are starting to shift a little bit, because I do appreciate what these other guys, and I know a toy store owner in Bolton. So Derek Noble at Noble Toys in Bolton. He's another one who is defiantly, now not this time around, the last time around, he stayed open and he accumulated like big fines, to the point where it's like, this time around, it's just he can't afford to go through it again.
And his thoughts are he will pay them, or he'll go to court and fight them?
I think his intent is to go to court and fight them, which is fine. Everybody deserves their day in court, but what do you do in the meantime, right? I mean, look at what's his name, the the restaurant guy, the unlicensed restaurant guy, Andy. You and I were talking about him
Yes.
the other day. The city of Toronto went in and changed the locks on his doors and locked him out.
Barricaded the place.
Yeah.
Complete regiment of police on horseback and
Yeah. So, I mean, where do you draw the line between, my livelihood? Like, where does my livelihood sit on the scale of what's best for everybody?
Right.
And how do you determine, it's a choice that everybody has to make for themselves. What is best for everybody?
Well, here's a story. So we have opted, we are not mask mandatory.
At your place of business?
Correct.
Sure.
So you can come in and you can be medically exempt from wearing a mask. And it's amazing
Sure.
how many people come in that look.
Are medically exempt.
Yep. And we won't talk whether they look healthy or
No.
whatever. Because, I mean, right, there's a whole slew of things.
Sure.
But our policy has changed.
It's now changed.
So we now require 2 forms of protection to be able to assist you. So if you come in, all our staff wear masks. And if I'm going to help you and you choose to be unmasked, I also have to have a visor on.
Okay.
So, right, that person's come in, that's fine, and then they ask for help, and you're like, well, I'll just be a moment. I have to go grab
I've got to go mask up.
I have to go grab my visor. And then they lose their bananas. And I'm like, well, listen.
Do you actually take the time to explain this?
Oh,
man. Good for you.
Twice.
Good for
you.
you.
I said, we've been more than happy to have you come in and not even question whether you're medically exempt. Just assuming, because I've already had 3 other customers want me to come in.
Because it's not your place to police it.
Yeah. And customers want you to go and confront them and be like, why are you not wearing a mask?
Some people do that.
And I'm like, well, it's because they're medically exempt. And
I don't know if they're medically exempt, and I'm not going to bother to ask them.
No.
Yeah.
And but now I have a policy that states if you require assistance, I need 2 forms of protection. So if you're done listening, or you can continue
helping
yourself and shopping, and you can cash out, and it's fine. Or you can leave the business.
Yeah, not denying anything, but this is the way it has to go.
But if you can't figure out whether you're a 32 or a 34 maybe you should bring your mom with you when you shop.
Oh boy.
But so I mean it's interesting, right? Where we're lenient to a point, but then it's like, well, now you've stepped past this, and that right, you just don't get it. So
medical exemption is a whole other ball of wax, man. I know you and I have had some philosophical differences of opinion on how it goes, and I just at the end of the day, if you're medically exempt, you're medically exempt. I don't care, but you know what? Don't knock on my door. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm happy to bring you whatever you want to the door, but no.
No, and you as in your business, they have a choice to not wear a mask. Here. And you also have a choice of not allowing them in your business.
That's right, yeah.
And you're not infringing on their rights.
And that's, I think a lot of people forget that.
They're like, you're infringing on my rights. I'm like, no, this is private property. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. The health unit has said, in that first release, you should not. It doesn't say you will not. That's a whole other episode on should and shall nots and legalese, but should not deny anybody service or your business. I'm not denying anybody anything. You have 100%. You can go on my website. You can look. You can call me. I'll stand on the other side of the glass, and I'll even walk around with my camera phone out, and I'll show you what's on the shelf. And you tell me, show me that thing. I'm happy to do that for you.
Yep.
But don't come knocking on my door looking for a fight.
Yeah.
It's the wrong. I am the wrong person to field that one.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate where I have not had that happen to me. I've not had the. I don't want to say problem customer because that's not really fair, but I haven't had that person who's gotten really upset about anything. It hasn't happened here, so knock on wood for that one.
Right.
Seen a few of them though.
Yes, we have. Oh yes, we saw. Recently. Yeah, very recently.
A fellow who wanted to exchange his controller because the dog ate it.
Yeah. Just that sense of like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And that was the guy's exact words. Are you kidding me right now? And the guy by the counter, no.
What business was this at?
It was at an EB Games location. It was interesting.
I guess if you got the warranty and the warranty was for anything,
Yeah.
Because right, Apple's warranty, right, will cover you if you drop it in the toilet or fault of your own, right?
Yeah.
But right, if you just bought it, you didn't get the warranty and the dog ate it, pound salt.
Yeah, to the point where it was like, and the guy was like genuinely like, listen, I've worked here this many years, because the guy even said, has your policy changed? And he's like, no. He's like, in the 4 years that I've worked here, that has been the policy. And maybe it was the fault of the customer who came in and just willfully disclosed, my dog ate it. You know what I mean? Like, not even like, didn't even try to BS his way, like,
right.
Accidentally tripped on the cord and broke it. Or no, it was like mangled, like chewed on.
Yeah. It was, the chew marks aren't what killed it.
The guy behind the counter was even good. He's like, ordinarily we'd take all this kind of stuff because, we'd send them back and they get refurbed and we can resell them. But like something like that, nope, you can't. There's nothing you can do with it. It's just in pieces.
It's destroyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everywhere, right? And again, that's his assumption that, that's like somebody that cuts the leather on their boot from something they did at their job, or they catch their coat on a nail and the coat rips. And they're like, well, it should have been tougher. And I'm like, you should have not ran into a nail.
Yeah.
Like,
you're not buying Kevlar.
Yeah. We're getting into an argument about what you think it should be and what I think it should be.
In our business, we see it all the time. Like in the toy collector world, I see it all the time, especially when it comes to Amazon. People losing their minds because, Amazon takes, action figure A, throws it in a box with, one layer of bubble wrap. They might fold the card in half to fit it in the box and then mail it out. They don't care. People lose their minds. Oh my God, I got this action figure in the box and it came out and it's smashed up. And it's like, yep, that's the reality of it. They're not selling you.
So Amazon would not take a damaged package?
I'm sure they would.
Right.
I'm sure they would, but it's more prudent for you as the, irate collector to jump on your favorite Facebook toy group and deride them,
Not that I've done a lot of Amazon returns, but
I've done one.
Right. I facilitated one for Georgia. She ordered a couple of sweaters at Christmas time. Wasn't exactly as pictured as shown, and the fit was a little different.
Was your return as smooth as mine?
Took me 2 emails. So we emailed the vendor first, which was the
third-party vendor.
Yeah, and no reply, and then contacted Amazon and let them know that we had not heard.
Yeah.
They were quick to credit her account.
Amazon did it, and then they'll take it up with them. Oh, that's good.
Quite welcome to keep the other sweaters if you wish.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's like,
cool.
That's win-win. But again, they weren't wearable to her. It wasn't something that she enjoyed, or the sizing wasn't right. So maybe it got regifted.
Yeah.
But I thought that was right, and so it should be for a company the size of Amazon, right?
Oh yeah, multi-billion-dollar company
for the $63 worth of $63 worth of sweaters.
Yeah. How about you, Andy? You got any horror stories?
I've only done one return and it was pretty smooth.
Oh, wicked.
But the funny thing was the thing I ordered, they sent me the wrong one. So sent it back, no problem.
Yeah.
But then one showed up on the warehouse deals. Oh. And I said, is this the same one I just sent you back?
Is this the same item that I just ordered?
And they're like, we don't know. So I gambled, I ordered, and it turned out it was the actual item I wanted.
That you did want. Oh, nice.
So I did end up getting the one that I was after.
Oh, perfect. That's cool.
Weird. But yeah, you know what? I think you've been ordering. We ordered enough. I guess we ordered all of this stuff.
We did, yeah. All of our Upstart, we did, yeah.
And then have you done a whole lot of other orders?
I just ordered some stuff from Canadian Tire yesterday.
Right?
Yeah.
And that trip went well?
That was super smooth. I ordered, wanted to replace the garden hose this year because the 150 footer I have weighs a ton. And it means, great, I can get around the yard with it, but it's just like, it's such a drag, literally. So I ordered 2 shorter garden hoses, bought a pressure washer.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So ordered the whole thing online, checked out. They asked me, basically use my phone. So use the GPS on my phone to locate the store that I wanted. And I ended up changing it to the next town over because it's more selection there. And they said, okay, yeah, your order's in, paid for it with a credit card. Sent me a confirmation email and said, don't come to the store until you get until you get your it's ready to pick up message.
And the order said that.
Yeah, it says it right on it. So, which was kind of disappointing because it's like, oh, your order should be ready after 4:00 today. And then the message came in at like 10 after 5 when the store was closing at 5:30. So it was just not, I couldn't get there in the 20 minutes of time for them to do it. So I went and picked it up today, and pretty slick operation. You literally pull into the parking lot, you pull into one of the marked spaces, you open up the email that you got, and you hit there's an embedded check-in link, hit the check-in link, and it immediately connected me to the store, and basically gave me a real-time like spinny wheel thing, like, oh, your order is being reviewed, your order is being picked, your order is on the way out. I turn around, there's a kid. Here you go, sir.
You know what's so funny?
Yep.
That, right, in theory, we're on one big, Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire Marks.
And our pickup service is terrible.
Oh.
Does not. I probably would tell you about half the people end up phoning the store and being like, I'm out here, and the little circle's just been spinning away. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Oh, you guys are using the same system.
I don't know.
Powered by Sync.
I've actually never looked at, right? It doesn't say anything on my handheld, and I haven't done a test one from my phone.
Right.
But it'd be interesting to see if it was the same thing. And then I think that comes down to possibly payroll hours. Maybe Canadian Tire's just got more boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And we're just falling behind.
So has anybody here actually had a COVID scare, an actual scare, or a contact?
No.
Not particular, like nothing where it's forced me to stay home. Like we've had a few people at work that certainly have had a couple scares and things like that. We had some Fleming students and stuff, and
oh boy,
but nothing that trickled back that forced me to do anything.
We did.
Right.
We had one, and it wasn't. Do you call it a scare? I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I mean, it was sort of on the tail end when Kim was seeing clients, so it could have been anybody walked in with a virus of some kind.
So now, did she get notification that she had been exposed?
She did not. So there was it wasn't a contact trace thing where like, hey, this is the health unit calling, you need to go get tested. It was, I woke up one morning and my wife wakes up one morning and she's got a sore throat and some other respiratory symptoms.
Right. Kind of feeling like life.
Right. So like any normal person, what does she say? I'm going to call my nurse practitioner and see if I should go over and see if she can help me out. Because that's what a normal person would do, right?
Right.
So she phones up, and the nurse practitioner's office is like, nope, don't want to see you. Get a COVID test. Oh, okay, so that's how we're doing things now.
Right. And I mean, from that perspective, like you're not wanting to bring somebody in that's symptomatic into your office, right?
Yeah, and here I am. I am like, as I've gotten older, I'm developing things that I just like. Apparently, when you get older, your body changes. And so now here I am at like, mid-40s, and it's like, allergies? What the hell? Like, I've never had allergies my whole damn life. And now it's like, so I'm like, no, honestly, I'm not sick. It's allergies.
Oh, thank God, Andy. I thought he was going to tell us he got saggy balls. Because let me tell you.
Oh, the show's not over.
Right. So,
That's a whole other story.
Yeah. Kim's not feeling well. You feel good.
I feel good throughout. Lloyd, my father-in-law, who is a career smoker, you can't distinguish, what's a smoker's versus, is he actually sick? The man had a pneumonia for like several months of living with us and couldn't figure out what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
But that's another story too. Anyway.
So Kim calls.
She calls. Can't go see her doctor. Go get a COVID test. And now in the province of Ontario, you cannot drive in and just get one anymore. You must call the line. You must book it. Or I mean, you could be one of those I'm entitled types, and you could go to the ER and you could fudge your way in, and they would probably give you one. But we're not like that. So anyway, it's you're supposed to get a call back within 2 business days. Well, 4 business days later. Still nothing. It's like, listen, and they're very specific with the instructions. Like, don't leave multiple messages. We'll get back to you. They don't want multiple.
They're already behind.
Right. So call the nurse practitioner again and say, listen, we called and there's been nothing. And what do you want me to do? And she's like, well, call them again. And if you don't hear by the end of the day, call me tomorrow and I'll start making phone calls. In the meantime, we've all basically shut our lives down. It's like, oh, Kim's got, has been told to get a COVID test. We're not going anywhere.
Which is the right thing to do.
Right.
Congratulations on being a decent human being.
So we did all that. And then they finally call back. So what do you need a COVID test for? Like, really? You have to ask? So, Kim being Kim, she's super polite. And she's like, well, I had some, sore throat and some other kind of little niggly cold symptoms, and my nurse practitioner said I should call and get a test before she would see me in the office. Oh, okay. Well, we'll book you in a time.
Any conversation about what she does for a living when they are asking her?
It's funny. I never asked her, and she never did say. So that's a good question. I'm going to ask her when I get home tonight.
Because you'd think, right?
Yeah.
And then you think that would maybe like ramp up her service.
They probably
That'd be like,
did.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Here's somebody that has contact.
with
people.
the public. Yeah. Close contact.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, but in the course of this phone call, she's like, so my husband and my father, we all live close quarters in the same house. And they're like, do you want them to come and get tested as well? And I assume it's a nurse or whoever on the end of the phone. Do they have symptoms? And Kim was like, no. They're like, nope, we don't want to see them. And I was like, wait, what? I just shut my life down for the last 2 days, but you don't want to see me anyway?
Because right at the end of the day, that's two less tests they're going to have to run.
Yeah, I guess.
So so she goes and gets swabbed.
Yep.
Gets her brain tickled.
Yep.
And gets a
negative
test. So which means you guys are negative.
That's right.
So there they've saved themselves
whatever the cost of 2 tests are.
And time and lab work.
Yeah, of course. So and lab work. Speaking of lab work, because it's all online now, you actually see where your lab results get processed.
Oh, cool.
So so she got tested in Lindsay. Her lab work was processed in Kingston.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's an interesting little...
So apparently there's UPS fees in there too.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought I would have gone that far.
So speaking of hospitals and stuff, did you guys see that with this time around, there's now some new, under the Emergency Act, there's a new caveat there where it comes to inpatient care?
Nope.
So there is now, the provincial government has authorized hospitals to do patient transfers without consulting on certain cases.
So if I'm unconscious and on an incubator with COVID, I'll maybe switch to a different
You may be
ICU?
you may go somewhere else depending. I don't know exactly what the specific conditions are, but essentially it is to prevent the overwhelming of any particular ER or ICU.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, right, if you look as Ontario hospitals as one thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense to share
the
resources,
wealth. Yep,
space, and if all of a sudden...
Share the load.
Yeah, and if you don't have as many cases here and you have free beds or you have free personnel, why would you not?
Well, devil's advocate, let's talk about the other side of that, and maybe this is more rhetoric, but like, look, we live squat in the middle of cottage country, and how many local residents are like up in arms over tourists?
Right, because they're coming from gray zones to their, yellow zone cottage.
Right. The same people that would say, why is that patient from Toronto coming and taking up a bed in Kawartha Lakes when that could be used on a Kawartha Lakes patient?
But
it's unwinnable.
But there is no Kawartha Lakes patients.
Well,
right?
and that's the thing. Well, there is this week.
I know.
There is this week. The numbers are showing a spike for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you see like how like it's not, there's no simple answer, and no matter what side of the fence you are, politically, ideologically, there's no win.
No.
There just isn't.
So, speaking of hospitals, I've been vaccinated.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So, I was fortunate enough to get early access because I volunteer
as an emergency services
volunteer in the fire
person?
department. And it's funny because I got the phone call and the link.
Yeah, sure.
And I was like, I wasn't prepared to make this decision yet.
Oh, wow.
And it's not that I wouldn't have got it.
First dose, right?
First dose.
Yeah, okay.
I booked my second dose.
What'd you get?
Pfizer.
There you go.
Which, right, it's funny, too, because when talking to people, they're like, oh, that's the good one, right? And they're like, if I get like an option, but they offer me AstraZeneca, I'm going to decline and wait until they offer me Pfizer.
I don't think you have to make that decision anymore. I think Health Canada put a stop on that one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I could be wrong. Was that the one?
That's the blood clot one.
The blood clot one, yeah. Did they put a stop on that?
I think they're still doing tests on it.
Are they? Okay.
But it was pretty seamless. First dose was administered at the Ross. You enter in, they check you in, you go up to the mezzanine and you kind of work around the mezzanine and you come down the other stairwell.
So totally one way in, one way out.
Exactly, right? And
you will not be exiting the same way you came in.
No, which I thought was good. You're not coming back across and it looked from me standing in line and and seeing definitely that was a first responder or healthcare push.
Yeah.
Saw lots of guys I knew from the fire department. Saw
Lots of people under the age of 60.
Yes, I saw some community care people. I saw a couple police officers. So yeah, it's good. They're reaching out to people that are accessing people and things like that. So took it in my left arm, and other than maybe a little abnormal soreness or longer soreness, no itchiness, no hives, no nothing. So yeah, and then booked my second dose for July, and they're doing it through a drive-through at the fairgrounds.
Oh, so we're going back to the fairgrounds.
So I just pull up the day I'm getting it, make sure my arm hangs out the window. They jab me. They told me park for 15 minutes and then get
so that you don't wig out while you're sitting there and on the road
and get out. So so which is good. Both my parents have now been stuck, so that's good.
They're age appropriate. How do they feel? They must feel pretty good.
My dad. So my dad's certainly high. Right, he's autoimmune. So he had no problem getting it. Plus, he's old.
Sure.
So and then,
they didn't learn medicine from the Jenny McCarthy school. Right. Good for them.
Yeah. And then my mom had an opportunity. I think she made to me it felt like she got in a little early because she got it before I think that next age group dropped. I don't know if that was a phone call to their doctor or whatever, but yeah, it didn't get done together, but she has been done. So that household is taken care of. So yeah.
Your folks must be fairly close to the cutoff, are they?
Yeah, they're close.
Are they?
I don't know that they're going to get it yet, though.
They're not sure. They're on the fence, eh?
Yep.
Oh, that's fair.
Well, I'll let them know if I grow a tail.
All right.
It is a personal choice, and I mean, I would never tell you what to do, but I'll judge you for it silently.
I've been a firm believer that I lick enough doorknobs and eat a lot of dirt I haven't got a flu shot probably in 20 years.
I've seen as you know, I belong to several veteran groups, of course, online, and you know, there's the meme that keeps coming up with the porta potty, and it's like if you use this, you're immune to everything,
right?
And those types of memes, and I laugh at them, but I did work in healthcare, and if it's offered to me, I am 100% going to take it. Yeah. So that kind of brings me to another thing that just came up, and hey, no surprise that it's come out that the COVID vaccine may become an annual vaccine like the flu shot. Did you hear about that?
I have not.
Yeah, that's in the last week or so.
So are they saying that its longevity is not as good as? Because
I don't think so. I think it's more probably along the pathology of a disease, right? Whereas influenza mutates annually,
right?
The idea is that you are combating it annually.
I just don't understand. I'm not smart enough to even understand. I don't understand how we can get the MMR when we're 3 months old,
and you're good for life.
Right? Yeah. And they talk about sometimes needing a booster shot of it, sometimes, because you actually get talking about things.
Yep.
And then there's people like, I guess we all got the chicken pox.
Yes, definitely did.
Measles, mumps, and rubella.
Rubella, yeah.
Right. So not chicken pox. Is there a chicken pox vaccine?
Chicken pox vaccine there is, but that doesn't mean that you won't later get shingles as an adult.
But and there, my loving wife, she's never had chicken pox.
Never, ever, ever.
Never, ever, ever.
Oh, well, fingers crossed for her that.
Yeah.
Nothing
but other than we were the cause of the great 2002 chickenpox breakout in Calgary and Ontario.
Why? Because you took the kids with you?
Yeah, fuck yeah, bud. Flew out to Calgary. Kid number 1 broke out the day after.
Wow.
And flew home, and the next kid broke out the day after we got home.
Wow. And the Scott's phone number is.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm past.
There's got to be a statute of limitation there somewhere.
Yeah. And we were staying in hotels, and Michelle was pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
And they were went and saw the hospital, and they're like, oh, well, you're kind of in a unique situation where you're going to be near them. And she still didn't get it. So, no. It amazes me. And then they, I think they were kind enough they were actually going to test her immune system for it while we were there. And she still had a fairly high immunity to it. So, yeah.
What do we think about these protests, or as some people call them, these super spreader events?
You know what? We're grocery shopping in Peterborough.
Yeah.
And we're usually coming in through Buckhorn on Saturdays. And there's been a no lockdown or anti-mask protest or whatever every day in front of Peterborough City Hall. And they want you to honk their horn for them. And I just drive through and shake my head. And I mean, they all seem to be super. They just look like the kind of people that, if it wasn't this,
it'd be something else.
They'd be complaining about big banks, or they'd be complaining about, secret cities in the sewers, or
right.
Or Joe Biden's eyes.
The Ninja Turtles are real?
Yeah. And I mean, it's that percentage. I haven't seen anyone that I would deem in my circle of friends.
Yep.
That I would accredit, that if they sat me down and talked to me and could sell me on it, like if my dad sat down and said, you know what, Scotty, I think, and I think my dad's a smart guy, and right, but nobody like that I know has said anything other than, you know what, toe the line, wear a mask.
Yeah.
So to me, they're just a bunch of yahoos looking to get run over.
You know me, right? I mean, and this is me, and I wear multiple hats, right? I mean, I'm not in the Army anymore, but you'll never take the Army 100% out of me. I don't work in healthcare anymore, but you'll never get all of that out of me. So I look at it this way. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you do is your choice. But even if you are 100% against anti-mask, there's this little thing in healthcare that we call best practice. And best practice says, if it doesn't actually harm you, is there really anything wrong with doing it if it might help somebody else, even just in the slightest fractile of the percentage? Really?
Yeah. So,
and then of course the Army guy in me is like, whatever you want me to do, I'll just fucking do it because that's what's expected of me.
Right.
Yeah. Never mind, so much for societal norms. Yeah. So me personally, not a big fan of the protests. I support your right to protest. I don't necessarily support what you are protesting.
Yeah, I mean, every time somebody's protested, it only seems to interfere with my daily routine. Like if they're blocking the road, I got an appointment on the other side of that roadblock. And it's like, listen, fuckers, you're in my way. Get out. I don't care what you're doing. If you're protesting school closures or programs or whatever, I just know I got a doctor's appointment with my pregnant wife and Lindsay, and you're going to make me fucking late.
The only time I did, being in that situation, the only time where I was supportive was I was still in the Army, and the federal public service workers would go on strike every year. And, it was, they kind of told us, they're like, whatever you do when you're coming to work in the morning, if there's a picket line and they won't let you through, just be patient. Eventually they will, don't try to put your way through. Because no matter what you think about that, when they get a raise, we get a raise. Because we're public service workers too.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little different. Yeah. You're just you can't strike.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently there hasn't been a raise. They just got a big raise in the military with a bunch of back pay too. So
nice.
There hadn't been a pay raise in something like 8 years or something. Right.
So Andy, you were talking about somebody protesting.
Yeah, there was a protest yesterday on April 10th in Barrie. On Bayfield Street, this man was seen with a sign that said Trudeau's a traitor on one side and Doug Ford's an idiot on the other.
Oh, boy.
But he was sporting only a G-string.
And was he protesting alone?
He was protesting alone, socially distant, and all responsible like. So,
do you think his state of dress made him alone?
Maybe.
Kept him socially distant?
Couldn't find anyone else who wanted to strap on their G-string and go out?
Yeah. Well, the principle of it is that clothes have been deemed non-essential this go around.
Oh, boy.
So he was protesting that.
Really? Clothing is no longer
essential.
Interesting. Well, I know a workaround for that. Didn't we just talk about that?
We did. Yeah. So, I mean, right, this is the thing, is like, if you're deemed an essential worker, so you work in retail.
Or trades.
Trades or grocery store. So let's use the grocery store.
Sure.
So, young kid at Sobeys has to go to work. He's deemed essential. What's that kid wearing on his legs?
Pants.
Where's he going to buy his pants, Wes?
Well, I would hope that he would go and get himself a decent pair of work pants from somewhere that sold some workwear.
Right. And some of them aren't even work pants. Some of them are just Dockers.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is right. It's like, oh, workwear is essential. Well, who are you to tell somebody what to wear to work? So if you've been deemed, you work at a brewery, which I believe breweries have been deemed essential.
Here.
Cheers.
As I take a sip.
So who's to say what I get to wear when I work at, I'm sure a brewery has a fairly lenient dress code. So you could be wearing track pants, jeans.
I bet you they don't. I bet you a big brewery probably has very strict.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
Right, because they're working with heat.
Food production.
Yeah, they'd have to be covered probably, arms and legs.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There you go. But as I say, right, everybody's different. And then, what you get to wear and what you're not wearing, maybe not everybody wears Carhartt pants or mechanics pants. Sure. Maybe some people just wear plain old regular blue jeans.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's like, okay, I need blue jeans to go to work. Okay, well, we can sell you blue jeans to go to work. But yeah, it's such an interesting thing that, where you were saying that clothing has been deemed non-essential. I also saw the article. I couldn't find it here to fact check it, but the soon-to-be-due lady, and I believe it was at a Walmart, which everybody anyone that's had a child knows that you have to show the hospital your car seat.
Oh yeah, yes.
Before you're allowed to take your child home.
That's right.
So this lady was trying to buy her first newborn car seat so she could go to the hospital, have a child, and take it home.
Take their baby home.
And they have deemed car seats non-essential.
There's got to be an exemption for this kind of shit.
Right. And to me, in listening to the story and putting it together and haphazardly, I guess the lady argued it enough.
Yep.
That the store called the police to have her removed.
What?
Yeah. Can you say she is going to end up with a free car seat and a year's worth of diapers?
She's going to get Walmart for life or something.
Oh my God. Right. But this is the problem is.
Was that a Walmart in Canada?
I don't know. And this is, as I say, I wasn't able to find the article again to fact check it. So if certainly make a comment or a link when this goes up if you saw the article or linked the article so we can fact check it. But I mean, it's a tough sell, but there's a manager of, whatever, a $10 million store, $20 million store that's been told, these are the aisles you can keep open. These are the aisles you're going to close.
That's somebody who can't see the forest through the trees. Do you know what I mean? They're so rigid in their interpretation of the rules that they forget the spirit of the rule.
Yeah.
Oh.
But to me, I would have thought anything with children or infants would have been deemed essential.
As soon as the pregnant lady shows up and says, I'm about to deliver in the next few weeks. Yep. What do you need?
Yeah.
I'll go and get it for you.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down
to.
Yeah.
And to me, you're creating a customer for life instead of a lawsuit for months.
That's ridiculous.
But I mean, this is the problem is interpretation of the rules. And what and as I say, everyone's taking, what I deem as essential is not necessarily what you deem as essential.
No, I mean the whole toy thing. How are toys not essential when they contribute to somebody's wellness, their mental wellness?
Yes.
Right? Like I can't argue that, certainly for kids who play and
here's an orange and a piece of coal, you miserable little fucker. Happy birthday.
Play patterns are important to kids in the formative years, right?
And they're already saying that, the kids have struggled this year anyway.
Oh, yeah.
With
time.
Just the change and, just even the patterns and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I'd hate to be a kid at any stage of their education at this point because I can't imagine how disruptive it's been to education models.
Well, it's been good for our household. George is doing very well with the 22-day Ochmester. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. Percentiles are sitting high, so we're very happy with her absorption level. I
feel sorry for we have a stepchild in post-secondary who is basically training in a service industry. So I mean, her training as an esthetician is essentially been gutted by not being able to go hands-on with anybody except family.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
no, exactly, because right there. Your education is it's a service industry which has been closed. So how are you to work on anyone else?
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of where it is. Well, gentlemen, is there anything else we want to cover before we wrap this one up?
I got the Doug Ford bill.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about, we got to talk about that one because that one is awesome.
So a restaurant owner has sent Doug Ford a bill for $431 for 2 kegs of beer.
Yeah. Did you get the backstory on that?
I did get the backstory. Michael Hunter, co-owner of the Antler Kitchen and Bar in West End, Toronto, sent the invoice for the 2 kegs they purchased after being told that restaurants would be allowed to be open on their patios.
Yes.
But after buying it, they tapped the keg and were told, no, you're getting locked back down.
Yeah.
And once the keg is tapped, it's got a limited shelf life, so...
Yeah. I remember reading that one the other day, and I thought, oh, what a kick in the pants that is.
But, and again, this is the thing is, right, is, did this current lockdown, was this peer pressure?
I don't know.
Or, because he was sure that it was just a stay at home or a reset or whatever he was calling it,
the
right?
emergency break.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, no, we're back to lockdown.
I know Kim's made an observation, and we quite often will watch his addresses, and something that Kim's pointed out, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the last couple that he's gone up for, does he look kind of scared when he's standing there in front of that camera? Like he looks frazzled?
In the headlights.
Yeah, like...
As I say, you don't need to be the smartest guy to run the province. You just need to listen to your experts. But
that's what he said he was going to do. Like, I'm going to take the advice of the Chief Medical Officer of Ontario. Well, the Chief Medical Officer of Ontario is probably going to lean towards,
closures,
what the science says. But man, does money talk.
It's hard, right? And
lobby groups and super spreader events and, protests on Parliament Hill at Queen's Park. Man. Yeah.
At the end of the day, for his job, he just wants to get revoted.
That's going to be interesting come the next election cycle.
He wants to be a two-term premier.
Two-term premier. Yeah. Well, folks, I think that's it for me here in the barbershop. If you guys got any interesting COVID stories or horror stories, we'd love to hear them. So hit us up on our social media with any of your comments when this goes out. And of course, if you guys are interested in participating in the show, we want to hear from you. So don't forget to reach out and let us know what's up.
Stay safe.
All right, guys. That's it for me.
See you later, Wes.
All right, Scotty.
Bye.
Cheers, Andy.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for hanging with us at the Barbershop. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Please like and share us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date on all of our shenanigans. Hangin' at the Barbershop is a Sawcast production. Have you ever wanted to start a podcast, but you didn't know where to begin? Maybe you'd like to try podcasting without having to invest in any recording equipment. Do you have an idea for a show, but you're not sure how to develop it? Let Sawcast Productions take care of all of that, so you can focus on what it is you want to say. Sawcast Productions offers podcasting solutions ranging from recording and basic editing to fully produced episodes complete with all the audio embellishments of a broadcast quality show. And when your show is ready, Sawcast Productions can distribute it too. Contact us online today. So, what do you want to say?